Hello everyone and welcome to WSRU-TV. I'm Morgan Koziar. Today we're joined by President of the University Slippery Rock, Cheryl Norton. Thank you so much for being here.
Morgan, thank you so much for asking me to be here.
You've been such a positive influence on the community of Slippery Rock and the campus.
Well, you're very kind to say that. I love the campus, I love the students, I love the environment, and if I can add to that, I'm pleased to have done so.
Well, thank you so much. So you've grown up, born and raised in Cleveland.
Yes.
Not too far away from Slippery Rock.
No.
Did you know the area very well before you came?
No, I didn't. I'd heard of Slippery Rock, and truly, if I had known that I was going to pursue my career in exercise, I should have started at Slippery Rock. Instead, I went to a small liberal arts school called Denison University. But I knew of Slippery Rock. I knew of its reputation. And after I got my doctorate in exercise physiology, I was quite aware of Slippery Rock and the focus that they have in exercise science on the campus. So when the job opportunity came upon me, it was exciting to kind of get back not only closer to my roots in Ohio, but to an area that really respected my discipline.
And so you've traveled all over the country, both in your career and education.
I didn't plan to do that. I grew up in Cleveland, went to school, and like I said, at Denison University, which is in Granville, Ohio, kind of very similar to Slippery Rock, a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio. Met my husband there. The first year we were married, we lived in Connecticut, and my husband and I were dorm parents at a boys' prep school. I was in charge of 21 14-year-old boys, and I was 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. It was an interesting experience. Then my husband decided he wanted to get an MBA, and we went down to the University of Virginia. So we lived in Charlottesville for 2 years, and I worked I was in charge of the recreational therapy unit on a locked psychiatric ward.
Wow.
Hadn't planned on doing that. And then he got a job in New York City, so I went to New York City with him and started Columbia for my doctorate degree. 2 years after we started, he got a job changed to Denver, so we went to Denver. I continued to do my degree kind of long distance, took some courses at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and we ended up staying there for 28 years. Had 2 sons, and then my husband said, "You need to be a president." So I ended up taking a job back in Connecticut at Southern Connecticut State University as president.
Oh, wow.
And I met a gentleman there named Bob Abersol, who the Abersol Recreation Center is named for, and he was the former president of Slippery Rock. And he became kind of a mentor to me. And when this job came open, he called me and said, "Cheryl, have I got a job for you?" And he was right. So it was because of Bob's encouragement that I even applied for the position, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Well, you have been everywhere.
Well, I haven't been everywhere, but it has been, we have traveled around, and it's been a great experience.
What would you say has been your favorite place?
That's interesting. We consider Denver our home because we lived there so long, and we brought up both of our sons there, but we had a great time in New York City.
Yeah.
A really nice time in New York City.
What exactly struck that in you to decide to come here and take that responsibility?
You know, it probably started with Southern.
Okay, yeah.
And even before that, getting into administration, I had been a faculty member for maybe 20 years, and I really did love teaching. I loved working with students. I loved seeing the spark in their eyes when they understood or when they could make a connection and it all made sense. Not that I felt it was my responsibility, because you're the one that's learning, but I'd like to think that I helped you with it. But at some point in time, I thought maybe I could help more students gain access to an education if I could be an administrator, and I would have more opportunity to break down barriers for student success. I think part of that, or most of it, was because I was the first in my family to get a college education, my brother and I, that generation.
Right.
My grandmothers had 3rd grade educations, one grandfather a 5th and one a 7th grade. My parents did have a high school degree, but they said to my brother and I, you must go to college. And so I saw college as a real opportunity and thought that's really important to pass on to the next generation. And maybe if I was an administrator, and maybe if I was a dean, and maybe if I was a provost, and maybe if I was a president, I could help students get the advantage that I had, and maybe they could be educated and they could find their career dream as well. So it was really simply an opportunity to make a difference through education in other people's lives.
Yeah, you've done such a nice job.
Oh, well, thank you. You're very kind. Yep.
And if you could tell students one important thing that you took away from your college experience, what would that be?
Oh, boy. Try as many things as you can. Get involved. And be involved in organizations or opportunities that aren't really comfortable for you, where you can learn something, meet new people, explore your own interests. Because I think it's when you least expect it, you find out something about yourself, an interest or an ability or a strength. And if you always stay with what you think are your strengths, you're never going to enhance your weaknesses.
That's a great point. Really. What would you say is one of the most challenging or yet rewarding sides to your job?
Wow. The most challenging is trying to make decisions, keeping a student-centered focus, and recognizing that you're not going to please everybody all the time.
Right.
I think there's always going to be problems in any organization that aren't easy to fix, and you want to fix them, and you have to realize that that decision of how to fix the problem, you'll create friends, and you'll develop some enemies as well. And that's a challenge because I think you want to be able to say to people, I'm doing this for the following reason.
Right.
I know that it may not be in your personal interest, but I think it's for the institution and the student's personal interest. And those are always very challenging, especially decisions that have a political edge to them, where people think a decision should be made because politically it makes sense, but it may not make sense for students. So, as one person said, what's right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right. And what you try to do is what's right all the time. And what's the most fun? Commencement. Because that's the most important thing we do, giving degrees. And I mean, think about it. I have the privilege of awarding degrees to several thousand people every year and having them go off into their career and make a difference in the world. How great is that? It's very special.
Yeah, that's so inspiring, really.
Thanks.
Last Tuesday, we had the opportunity to go out on campus and do a news package asking students if they had any questions for you. So we're going to play some videos, and you can feel free to answer them.
Great. That's a great question. First of all, I fell in love with the beauty of the campus from the first time I stepped foot at the institution. Not only are the rolling hills lovely, I love the trees, the green grass, the space that we have. It's just a wonderful place to live. And my husband said it's like living in a park with buildings. So that's probably my most favorite immediate reaction to the campus. But my second and probably long-lasting feeling is how warm and welcoming the community is. People are so kind and caring and embraced us from the very beginning, even though we weren't from this area, but they were welcoming, and we appreciated that so much. Wow. That's a great question. and I'm not sure I have one favorite memory. I have to put my inauguration up there as an important piece, because that officially welcomed me into the community and said, now I am one of you. I belong to Slippery Rock University. And so that was a wonderful time in my memory book. But I also have enjoyed every homecoming that we've had on campus, because it's given me an opportunity to talk to people that have been on the campus, gone out, now have come back, and relive some of their memories. So I've learned so much about the history of the institution from those homecoming events.
Many students find it so cool how interested you are in physical fitness. What struck that hobby, and what activities have you participated in?
You know, I have always loved exercise. And I've had a difficult time when I was growing up wondering why other little girls didn't like to run and play and enjoy movement. But when I was growing up, we weren't supposed to sweat at all or perspire. It was called glistening if you did. And I was always referred to at that time as a tomboy. So sports were always something that I simply enjoyed doing, and I found any way I could to participate in a competitive activity. When I was in high school, there was no interscholastic sports, so that was sad. When I got to college, we did have intercollegiate sports, and I played intercollegiate volleyball and basketball. But most of the activities that I've done have been as an adult once I got out of school, and that would be, I was a nationally ranked marathon runner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was nice. I also was a state champion in Taekwondo, and I have a black belt in Taekwondo. My husband and I raced a dog sled team in Colorado for a little over 10 years. We had our own kennel of Siberian Huskies.
Oh, my goodness.
I wrote one of the best-selling books on how to play racquetball, and it's been out since 1984. So that's been fun. I did synchronized swimming for about 5 years. Of course, played tennis and other racket sports. And most recently, I have been competing in triathlons, and just competed in the U.S. National Age Group Championship in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in August. I was invited to participate because of my past performances, and came in 20th in my age group. So I've never met a sport I didn't like, and I've tried a lot of them.
It sounds like you're quite busy.
Well, I like to sweat.
Yeah.
Far, far away resident hall?
That's the one.
You know, I haven't seen a proposal for that, to offer a food option, but that's an interesting idea, and I'll bring it up with our residence life people and see if they think there might be a place, a capacity, or a need. Obviously,
Yeah.
that student thought there was a need.
I think those students would enjoy seeing that.
Yeah. Well, we try to be a good neighbor, because you know their house is right next to my house. So it is actually very nice to have the ROTC next to us. Sometimes they do some of their drills in the woods behind our house, so I'm early in the morning, I hear them moving through the woods, which is good. But we obviously want to support the ROTC, because I think having this option for our students is important, not only for the community, but for the student in general. Providing them a place to be housed, providing them as much support as we are legally able to, going to all their events when they're commissioned officers, making sure that they're part of our graduation ceremony, even our veterans ceremony, giving the respect that they're due because of the choices that they've made. So we try to be welcoming and caring with our ROTC program.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. You know, we are part of a global society, and that global society is made up of a rich tapestry of people from all backgrounds and cultures. And so we obviously are very interested in having that kind of tapestry at our institution. As a result, we have increased the amount of financial aid we have that we can use for students in need to enable them to come to the institution. Oftentimes, students from backgrounds from a minority background are ones that typically have more need than others. And so we're trying to ensure that finances are not a reason for stopping students from coming. We're also doing a lot more outreach into school systems and urban environments, whether it's Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or going along the East Coast, so that we can work with guidance counselors to help develop some of the students that are attending from an urban environment as well.
That's wonderful, because I do feel that the internationals and ethnic diversities are a very important key asset to the university.
Absolutely. You know, finances are important for all students. So the more money we can raise through endowment, the more money we can raise through donations, the more money we can utilize from our operation funds and give for scholarships, hopefully that will help attract more students to the institution. We actually are one of the leaders in terms of minority students on a campus, interestingly enough. But we do need to go outside our rural area. Right now, Butler only has a 4% minority population. Our campus has about 11 to 13%. So we are drawing from more urban populations, and that's good.
And now kind of a fun question.
Yeah.
Something probably very important to college students.
Yes.
Pizza.
Yes.
What's your favorite topic?
You know, I like, and this is an unsolicited commercial for Domino's, thin crust pizza with bacon, mushrooms, and onions. Bacon, mushrooms, and onions. Anybody listening out there? Thin crust. Yes.
I think it sounds awesome.
I think it's wonderful. We have it every Saturday night.
Oh my goodness.
That's our treat.
There you go.
Yeah, why not?
If you could join one on-campus organization, what would that be?
I have to say the Tri-Club, the Triathlete Club.
Okay.
Yeah, because I kind of am a fringe member of it. I have their garb, I have their T-shirts, their tri-suits, but if I could be a member of any club or organization, I would be a member of the Triathlon Club.
What is one thing that you think makes SRU students stand out?
Their willingness to be involved in their community. We gave over 71,000 hours last year, about $1.6 million in community service. The students are always ready to lend a hand. For instance, we're going to have the Race to Any Place, and typically we have 30 teams of students who are willing to raise money for leukemia and lymphoma. The St. Jude's project that we have, certainly the Special Olympics. Even when we welcome new freshmen onto campus and we have 400 students that are there ready to unload cars and take the luggage up to a room, our students are really caring people. They want to help, they're willing to be of assistance, and they reach out into the community to give a helping hand, and that's their best trait.
Over the next several years, what do you have planned or see in store for SRU?
Well, first of all, SRU is truly a wonderful academic institution in a beautiful site. So we've got a lot going for us. But we know now that education shouldn't be bound by an age, 18 to 21 or 22. That education, because of the changing technology, because of the shrinkage of the globe, because of the global needs that interact with everyone in our community, we really need to continue our education past a bachelor's degree.
Right.
And so I see one of the things that we can do as an educational institution, and in particular as a public institution that exists for the good of the public, is to continue to offer our students, our community, Western Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth, an opportunity to continue educational advancement. So that means master's degrees, perhaps more doctorate degrees, certificate programs, opportunities to advance your career because you're able to come back to school after you finish your bachelor's degree, and really make Slippery Rock the education destination for this side of Pennsylvania.
What changes or improvements would you like to see coming to SRU?
You know, we need to continue some building programs. We have some buildings in need of repair, like spots. We need to redo the University Union as a student success center. I'm really focused on trying to get some money to move all of the areas that students need to become a student and stay a student into one location, so one-stop shopping, to make it easier for you to get mentoring or tutoring or financial aid or parking passes or your mail or all of those kind of creature comforts that you need. I sure would like to get the Performing Arts Center. We've been working on that long before I came, and we're trying to get it moving forward and break the ground with that. But short of just building, I also want to see being able to continue to provide for students opportunities to go abroad, to learn internationally. I think that's an incredibly important aspect of your life. When I was 16, I was a foreign exchange student to Japan, and that made all the difference for me. And I think for others it would be important too. And then continue to grow very significant degree programs that give you all an opportunity to have career choices that you want and you deserve, and that will make a difference in your life. So continuing to be that public institution that serves the good of the public.
Well, thank you, Dr. Norton, for your time.
Thank you,
We truly appreciate it. I just want to say thank you, on my personal behalf. There's so many important key points that go into choosing a university. And I'd like to think that, you have a positive influence in those important key points.
Well, I hope so. I hope what we're doing on the campus not only makes it attractive to people, but gives them reason to ask, what about that Slippery Rock University? And let's try and experience the difference, because believe me, we are different. And believe me, the sun always shines at Slippery Rock.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Morgan.
And we want to thank you for watching. Have a great week, Slippery Rock.